Hello and welcome to Sports Today and what has been the most surreal morning of Test match cricket. Most surreal morning of Test match cricket that I have ever seen. Summer of 42, I have read about it. I wasn't born then in 1974. I've asked Mr. Gavaskar about it 100 times, but we have now seen the summer of 36. You can say the pink of 36. In Australia, it's summer. In India, it might be winter, but we've now seen live the summer of 36. It was the most shocking session of test match cricket that I have seen. With me is my friend Pragyan Ojha. I'm sure Pragyan, who's played for India for a long time, will also be as taken aback as every one of us. Pragyan, that was the most surreal session of test cricket that you and I have seen.
Yes, I think after watching that game, I was really excited. Always you feel as a cricket fan, you take that pride when India does really well. The way they played, last couple of days, the way they dominated the Australian side, I was really excited. But the credit goes to the Australian seamers, the way they bowled. Those lines, they were even closer to the batsmen. They were not, I think they were prepared to give away those boundaries, but their plan was to make our batsmen play every ball. And I think with that new ball movement, with the pink ball, that extra bit, I think it has costed us. And maybe I thought few shots were half-hearted shots. That's what I felt. But this has been very unfortunate after having a very good control in the last couple of days. Just in one session, things have turned against us.
Absolutely correct. And Ridhima, can you hear us? I think you're there. Can you hear us, Ridhima?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, go for it.
But I'm
Yeah,
not sure if this is from my
but
traveling.
your
But
internet
yeah,
is
I was
breaking up,
listening to comment.
unfortunately.
Okay, so can you hear me now, sir? Is it fine
Yes, we
now?
can. Yeah, we can. Yeah. No, we've lost you again. Anyway, so see, the point is, Pragyan, 6 innings now without 250. Twice in New Zealand, now in Australia. The batting hasn't stood up. 6 innings without 250. Yes, we were in control. First innings 244, but that was again 188 for 3, 244 all out. So there was a collapse, and we cannot escape that. Second part is this one again 36 for 9 all out. There is a serious issue with that batting. We cannot run away with it. Now, obviously, this test match is gone. Question is, what is the flaw? How do you rectify? Without Virat, can you stand up for Melbourne? What is the kind of scarring? Your thoughts?
Yes, everything was fine. If you look at the Australian batting lineup and Indian batting lineup, first 2 days, it was like 50-50. We played better than them, in fact.
Yes.
Even Australians were struggling. Today we saw Joe Burns not being comfortable with those bounces and all. So it's very strange to see Australians also struggling against bouncers and with those lengths. So I think the pink ball is making a lot of difference. But saying that, when we go to the red ball cricket, the conventional ball that we often we've seen all the test cricket test playing nations play. I think it will be a different ball game where we can see some good fight from our boys, and I'm very confident. It's not like this will affect them, but not to that extent where we have totally moved away from the test match. I can clearly make out, we will bat well. We have that batting lineup who can do well. Yes, Virat Kohli won't be available, but this is a very big opportunity for others, to showcase their talent. But the biggest difference is the pink ball. It is not that India was the only team which was struggling. It was Australia that was struggling. Yes, I know there is no way we can back this getting out for this low total that we have just now. That is not, I'm not backing that. But it's very clear that pink ball is very, very unpredictable, especially under lights. And now few sessions were so different where it was unplayable at times. So I will give that doubt to the pink ball.
I agree with you. I was obviously watching every ball of that session, and firstly, I'm pretty much in sync with you that Melbourne will be different. Anyone who writes India off and this batting lineup off, I think is premature. I think there'll be two changes. I think Shubman will play for Prithvi, and KL will play for Virat, and thereon they will. I mean, the conventional red ball India will get runs. I am very worried about Mohammad Shami, because if Mohammad Shami has done something to his hand in terms of a break or something, then that's a bigger worry for me at this point in time, because the match is gone. Rajashi has also joined us. Welcome, Rajashi, on the show. Your first thoughts? I mean, it was the most surreal session of Test match cricket that Pragyan and I we were talking about it. Yes, but at the same time, we both think Melbourne will be different with the conventional red ball, because the way Shami got hit and the way Joe Burns got hit, it tells me that something is still not right with this pink ball and cricket. In the sense, batsmen aren't able to pick. Joe Burns is an opener, and the way the number of times it has hit, even in the tour game, concussion, head, hand, this is quite scary for me. So yes, we will delve into the batting and the pretty shocking performance there. But your thoughts, Rajarshi, on what you've seen this morning?
Boria, we've been watching, following every single ball, and in fact, I was just wrapping up and editing, and we were just discussing, researching some content for the website, and we were looking at these numbers; they were shocking. And while we were waiting for these numbers and for these developments to pan out, 19 for 5, then 26 for 7, 26 for 8, back-to-back balls. Josh Hazelwood almost on a hat trick, and we're journalists. We covered the game, we loved the game, but when this the total was headed towards 26 for 8, 31 for 9, I suddenly found myself praying and crossing my fingers that we at least crossed that 42-run mark. And that to me is shocking, especially given India's performances. Yes, we lost in New Zealand earlier this year, but that to me was shocking. What are we praying for now? What are we expecting for India not to cross a particular dubious milestone? And this is happening after decades. This is and like Pragyan said, and like you were discussing, yes, Australia hit the right lines. They made sure that India were playing, but there is no way that you can explain away 36 all out. There is absolutely no way. It is shocking. As a journalist, when you're thinking, as an Indian journalist, when you're thinking, ki boss, kuch bhi ho jaye, 42, 43 pahunch jaye. That to me was the most shocking incident for as a professional. Having said, Boria, what you also said about the way pink ball cricket has gone, you know, uh, let us also not look at this morning session in isolation. Yes, it was a disaster. Yes, it was embarrassing to see the way the Indian top order collapsed. But also, the fact is that I was hearing the two of you at the backstage that India dominated most parts of this test match. Yes, they struggled after Virat Kohli's run out, but the way they came back with the ball, kudos to that. Pink ball cricket is still very new, and you guys are right again when you say that when India head over to Melbourne and to Sydney, things will be different. You won't see a 36 all out. India will fight back, even without Virat Kohli. It will be a different team altogether.
Agree. I agree. And
And
but my
also,
but I'll come to you, Pragyan. My point here
yeah.
is, having seen Kolkata, I again felt the chances of injury for players was much more in pink ball. And it's not damn easy. I mean, 150 Ks, the ball coming and hitting you. Maybe it hurries on the batsman. Pragyan's played the pink ball. I'll ask him that. But that scares me. And here I'm not speaking for India. I'm speaking for both teams. The way Joe Burns got hit, he could have broken his hand. He's still out there. I'm glad for that. But he's rattled. Pragyan, now coming to the dismissals. I mean, tell me about you. You were telling me about that story when the ball hit you and it went away. But also, let's go one by one. Ajinkya, for example, was tentative the way he played that shot. Virat, it was on sixth stump. And if you see, the host broadcaster was showing not the first time that Virat has gotten out in that manner. Pat Cummins, every time, three times he's got him out since 18, he's got him on the sixth stump. So there is something that, the Australians were exploiting. And that for me was worrying that, this is someone's had to do something. Were you expecting a counter attack? Were you expecting someone to try and do something different? Or your thoughts on individual dismissals also, Ajinkya, Virat, Cheteshwar, the bat came clearly when they were showing it, the bat face wasn't straight. So these are questions as a player, how do you tackle?
As I told you, it was a brilliant spell. It was a brilliant spell from our bowlers, and they planned well. If you look at Virat Kohli's dismissal, that is what we've seen in England also. That's
Yes.
where Virat is very tentative. That's what they have attacked him. They were first innings maybe they were a little hesitant to give away those runs, but now they were clearly their plan was the match was going away from them. They thought maybe we can give those boundaries, we can afford those boundaries, but we need to pick those wickets, and that's what they have done. And if you look at Ajinkya and Pujara, I think they were brilliant ball. It was like those lines where you don't know, either you have to play or you have to leave. That's where they were caught in between. But saying that, Boryada, I think uh, I can only say this was a brilliant spell. But why I spoke about Jasprit Bumrah yesterday? I was fearing the same injury what Mohammad Shami has got. Bumrah, Shami, they and Umesh, they are our they are our asset in this store, and we should make sure that they don't get injured. And with the pink ball, it is even dangerous. So my only concern was that it was not like Bumrah is not good enough to go and bat as a night watchman, or it was a wrong move. I'm just saying, he's a bigger asset for us. Whenever you go on to bowl, we don't want this kind of situation where Mohammad Shami will bowl or not. We don't know. Even we don't know next game he's going to play or not. That is how you don't want that in a important series. That's what was my concern. Mm, uh,
Rajesh, Rajesh,
yeah.
taking off from that, I mean, that is now the point. I mean, if we say that this test match is gone, yes, you still have about 75, 80 runs to play with. Maybe you can get a couple of wickets, maybe three, four, and push Australia back. But this match is all for certain gone. If we look ahead, I mean, Mohammad Shami now clearly in doubt. Uh, Australia also will be quite, I mean, they are, yes, they've got one incredible session under their belt. But batting wise, they are fragile as well. You've got to believe, Rajoshi, you can still make a comeback, isn't it?
Absolutely, Boria. Look, there is no point in playing cricket at the highest level if you don't believe the point that if you don't believe in your own abilities to fight back. And you're right when you say that. Look, the Australian team, we have exposed several chinks in their armor. No matter what the Australians say, yes, as a journalist, I have experienced a lot of their coverage. Boria, you yourself have gone to Australia several times to cover. We know what could happen after this. They'll be shouting from the rooftop that this Indian team is weak, that this Indian team without Virat Kohli will lack the character, etc. Look, that is all rubbish at the end of the day, because this Indian team, they have done well overseas. They won in Australia the last time 2 years back against the very same bowling attack. Yes, Smith and Warner won there. Warner will most likely come back for Melbourne, even with this injury concern to Shami, even with Virat Kohli stepping away, coming back home for the birth of his first child. It will be a rejuvenated Indian team because they believe in their ability to fight back from all corners, especially in Australia. And that victory 2 years ago, even without Warner and Smith, is extremely significant. It will still be playing on the mind of the Australians because they are playing at home. They're playing at home. The pressure will be on them even after Adelaide. Yes, they'll be in a better space, but they would have known that on day two, India did expose them, boss. It was they were in a bit of a situation, and this collapse. Uh, Again, I think we should probably move away from not watching it in isolation. It was a disaster. It was embarrassing as an Indian cricket fan. But Boria, Pragyan, both of you right in believing that this Indian team will fight back and fight back hard in Boxing Day.
Pragyan, you've been part of this dressing room. You've been part of this dressing room for several years. Rajul is there. Rajul, I'll come to you in a second. Pragyan, you've been. So, what will be the thought there? What will be the talk? Will they say this was an aberration? Let's move on. Ravi Shastri has a huge role. I mean, 6 innings without 250. He's been there, done that for several years. He will have to get this team up, pep up. Ajinkya Rahane will take over as captain. He will have a massive role. So give me a sense, Pragyan. You've been part of the setup. What will be the dressing room talk? What will be the planning in the next couple of days?
I think it'll be a big statement if, I know the match has shifted to Australians, it is more favorable to Australians, but picking couple of wickets or maybe three, one or two more wickets will be a big statement. That's how, you make a statement. That's how the team comes together. After these kind of performances, everybody is in their that bubble. They're thinking about, oh God, what has happened. The best way to do is, now everybody come together, and cheer for your bowlers and try to get those couple of wickets early. I know it is very difficult to win the test match now, but getting those 2 wickets will be a statement. And then when you're in the dressing room, the best thing would be, you start taking a couple, 1 or 2 days off, and then get together and prepare for the next test match. And when you are taking a day's break, it is better not to discuss cricket or your skills. Just take a 1 day's break, and then when you are in the nets, and then when you start preparation, it should only be about the game and prepare how you have to do. And the best thing would be, just forget that Virat Kohli was part of this team. See, whatever you have right now, you have to focus on that. Lot of time we're talking about Virat Kohli. Yes, he is there, but at times we had a situation where Sachin Paji was also not part of the playing 11 because of his injuries
Yes,
or a lot of other things. So what Indian team did? They did, what best you have got in your hands, you have to play with that, and that is the reality. That's what you need to be focusing on. Right now, it is very important to cut down all the unnecessary things and just focus on those 15 members and what best they can do. I think it is very important that 1 day's break where nobody talks about cricket, nobody discusses what has happened in the test match. And once you come back after that 1 day, you plan better, because you have dominated this test match.
okay.
One session was bad for you.
Okay, Rajul, he's joining us right outside from the Adelaide Oval. Rajul, all of us are quite shocked and by this surreal session of Test cricket that we have witnessed. Give us a sense of what the Indian fans are saying, what you've been thinking, and have you got any update in the ground so far about Mohammad Shami? Is any news trickling in?
I'll start with news on Mohammed Shami. We were trying to get some information from the support staff who lives around the boundary. No news on Mohammed Shami at this stage. We are hoping that it's just a niggle. It's not any sort of a fracture or anything like that in his arm. But doesn't look like he will come back to bowl for sure at this stage. But we'll keep you updated if we hear anything
No,
else
have
from
you
the ground.
seen him? Have you seen him leave the ground for a hospital or anything for a precautionary X-ray or anything like that? If he
Not yet.
hasn't by now, which is 1 hour from the time of the injury, then we can at least start hoping that it's not a fracture.
We haven't seen anything like that. We haven't heard anybody telling or sharing that information with us. So no news on that front. Coming back to Indian team's performance, I have no words to explain what we have just witnessed here. Even Australian fans were shocked to see the way Indian team collapsed. As Pragyan was saying, it was going in India's favor. Yesterday we were at front. It was India's game to lose from yesterday's play, and what we just witnessed, we have absolutely no words to say. Um, as you all were saying, I was listening earlier. It's the psychological game, the psychological blow to our players. That's what we need to protect them against. There are still 3 test matches to go. We want our players to stay in positive mind frame. As a fan group, Fans India, we'll be cheering. We are still cheering Team India. We want them to fight. We want them to take few wickets and give it back to Australian players. But as I said earlier, absolutely shocked. I've seen faces of Indian fans where they are not even showing any expressions on their face, and that shocked expressions are seen all across the ground. And as I just mentioned, Australian fans were very they were surprised to see the mighty Indian batting lineup collapse like that, because this is the same batting lineup that dominated the Australian bowlers in the first inning. It's the same wicket. We've spoken with the pitch creator before the game. There is nothing special in the wicket. Wicket is not doing anything more than what it was doing earlier. It's the pink ball, some of the bad shots, and as I think Pragyan was saying, it's the psychological thing. When you suddenly lose wickets, it impacts you as a player, and I think that's what we have seen one after one. A
let
lot of
let let,
discipline.
let me ask you a follow up before I go to Pragyan, Rajul. I think you guys, Fans India, have a much bigger role now because Melbourne will have 30,000 people.
Yep.
you guys need to back this team, because it will make a difference for them to see you guys still cheering and backing them, rather than all the negativity and gloom that will start in the newspapers and
Absolutely.
in the press and in Australian media over a couple of days. So, that's something that's very important. So I think that role will be very important. So even after the dinner break, I think you all still have a role. As Pragyan said, a couple of wickets, you
Absolutely.
get behind the boys. Thoughts on that?
Yes, Gauri, absolutely agree with you. And we are used to of this kind of situations. As you all know, India won the series last time, and after the first Test match, there were a lot of criticism from media, from quite a lot of fans, and fans India were still supporting the team. So absolutely agree with you what you said, Gloria. This is the time for us to back the team, to cheer them up, to give them that positive energy they need, and all we want from our team is to bounce back. I know it's very hard to win from here, but if they can bolt us out on that total, they might be able to do that as well. So yes, we'll be backing our team for sure.
Norman, you've also joined us. I mean, Pragyan, Rajoshi, Rajul, and I were talking about the most surreal session of Test cricket we've seen. By the way, Norman Kochanek is also joining us from right outside the Athlete Oval. Norman, your thoughts on what we've just seen?
Yes, I'm as shocked as everybody online. I can't believe what's happened this morning. It's been an amazing hour and a half of play. I've actually been able to get some of the fans that are on their way out. They've been quite shocked by the way that the game has transpired. Look, we mustn't take away from the fact that Australia's bowled exceptionally well. To have so many batters caught behind by way of a nick shows how good the bowling actually is. It's an element of capitulation, sure, but I do think that the bowling has been exceptional. In particular, Hazelwood towards that back end, and obviously Cummins to start with. It's still a bit of a shell shock for me, as it must be for many of our viewers. I've got some fans next to me here who have actually just been nice to talk to us. Guys, come into the shop. Give us your thoughts on this morning.
We got in the taxi and it was one out, and then by the time we got in half an hour, it was six out, and then this is unreal. Like we never expected this Indian players to play like this. I mean, this happened in like once in 50 years. We never expected this to happen. We came here with a good spirit. We still are, but you know, it's just devastating to see an international players playing like this. We're just going home. We can't watch it.
Okay, Norman, question to you. I mean, I understand and appreciate where they are coming from, but question to you on a different note. I mean, you've seen all of the pink ball tests in Australia, all 7. Pragyan and I were discussing this. The way players got injured, Mohammad Shami, Joe Burns. I mean, what are your having watched the pink ball and the red ball? Is the pink ball more difficult to negotiate or sight for the batsman? Is there an issue there?
Look, there's a distinct difference in the two balls. There's no doubt about it. The pink ball has an incredible ability to both shape and also actually move off the wicket as well. It's a combination of shape and movement. The amount of grip that the ball has a certain glossier finish to it, and I've actually witnessed the ball itself. It is a lot easier to handle as a bowler and a lot harder to bat against. It's simple fact, it's simple mathematics. The score is quite pronounced. Yes, it's the first time since 1974 since the law says, as I'm sure you talked about. But the reality is the ball is distinctly different. Although Australia's on the ascendancy now, they're batting, their mindset that's more positive, they're going to find it very hard to get these 80-odd runs. And I'm not exactly certain we'll be without a number of wickets falling. So I believe this ball is a real leveller. And we've seen previous matches here, the likes of James Anderson, who has performed on this pitch, who tore through Australia. There's been a number of performances here with the pink ball that have been quite devastating for both sides. So albeit that India's lowest score in such a long time, it has to be tapered by the type of ball that we're using and the way in which it's moving. It's as long as you bowl well, you can get a lot of pension out of this, as we've seen today. And you're right.
Again,
I'm sure you mentioned that, Bora.
Yeah, Pragyan, the fans behind Norman said they were in the taxi, they were coming, within half an hour it was 6 down. This is 2020, for God's sake. Anything can happen.
That's right.
2020 don't rule anything past us. I mean, this is an incredible year. Having said that, Pragyan, Virat Kohli will perhaps be playing his last session, this one in Australia, before he comes back. As skipper, he will do a talk to his team. He will talk to them. What is that talk going to be? I mean, if you were in Virat Kohli's shoes, what would you want to say at this point? That, yes, I'm going back, but give me something Give me something to go back with. Give it your heart out. Umesh Yadav or a Jasprit Bumrah or a Ravi Ashwin. I'm assuming Shami won't bowl.
I
Okay,
think
so
yes,
I'll,
it'll be
I'll
like
rephrase it. Sorry.
Yeah, Pragyan, go for
yeah,
it.
yeah. It'll be like it's a very Punjabi character that Virat Kohli has. He'll say whatever it is. If you're losing, we'll go down losing. But with that fight, we cannot give up. We cannot surrender. That's what his talk will do to the boys. And I'm very sure he will never say that. He'll not talk about him going back. He'll just talk about, guys, we need to make a statement here where, we pick up couple of wickets and, put that thing in Australians' mind that, we are here for a fight. We are not here to just come and surrender, because we are the ones who are the ones who beat you here in 2018. You are the ones who have to beat us and get back the trophy.
Okay, closing comments from all my guests. I'll start with Rajul. Rajul, closing comments on this particular show. We'll get you back again, but also give us an update on what you are hearing about the Sydney Test match. Is the situation still very fluid? Is there a possibility of the Test match moving out? But what I hear, they can still get it back under control. So there's a lot of fluidity yet. So closing comments
Yes,
on this one and the Sydney Test.
yep, definitely. I'll talk about the Sydney one first. So yes, the next couple of days is very important from Sydney Test point of view. In New South Wales, in Sydney, the tracking system is the best in Australia, and I must say it's the best in the world. So we are very hopeful that New South Wales health authorities will contain this cluster. They have already tracked all the people who have been found positive and the people who were around them. So they are in quarantine at the moment. So the next couple of days is very crucial to see how much the virus has spread. So we'll keep you updated on that. And at this stage, game is on. As you mentioned in your update yesterday, MCG is Plan B for CA. But at this stage, FCG game is on. Now, I just want to talk about the current game. As Pragyan said, right, we want Kohli to really push the team, really encourage everybody, because the little spell we've seen, the bowling of Indian bowlers, the body language wasn't there. We couldn't hear the players chit-chatting and encouraging each other. I think team was in shock. I hope this 40 minutes break will give them enough time to regain their chances, come back with all of positive energy, and we'll be cheering Team India. So you will be able to hear us. We'll be cheering from the ball one. All we want our team to be is positive mind of frame, get few wickets, give it back to Australian team, and keep their chin up for the rest of the series.
Okay, Norman, your thoughts?
If I just make a point there, I'm heading back to Sydney tonight, unfortunately, because if this game finishes, though, certainly we're heading back. I'm already getting a briefing from the texts that I've got from both the state government of South Australia and our federal government. I've got a series of texts to say where I've been, where I've stayed. There's been a fair bit of control. We're going back to a very rigorous situation. So they've locked down the northern beaches and the areas of Cronulla, which is down the southern beaches, and also under question. It looks pretty likely that we'll have as of 5 p.m. tonight, which is in fact it's due now that they're meant to be closing Sydney down in terms of any movement with it, not unlike back in March. So it's quite serious. In fact, it's very concerning. I have a number of people that have been telling me about what's going on there. It looks like we'll be in lockdown, but it may only be temporary. Let's see if we keep things under control. It doesn't detract from the actual Sydney Test at this point at all. I think, Buri, you said in earlier comments, it's no need to be alarmist about it at all. The reality is that they're going to try their level best to make this test happen. Gladys Berejiklian, our state premier in New South Wales, is particularly good with the way she's handling things. Incredible amounts of COVID-safe tracing. It has been fantastic. They've had several processes which have been on the ball. They're on top of it. It's looking very good in terms of control. Let's hope it all pans out. I can't see any reason at this point why Sydney would not go ahead, and the MCG will be a blockbuster.
Okay, Rajashi, your thoughts.
Look,
Rajashi, if you could hear me, yeah.
it is incredible, right? Yes, I could hear you. Look, the first thing is that we've all agreed that here, the fans are still expecting. Look, Boria, when we were talking about whether India can bounce back from this test defeat, we had a question for you, particularly Shubhabrata Mukherjee was asking, an Indian fan. They're still wondering whether India can make a match out of it. So that is the amount of support the Indian cricket team has always had, right? Whether it's at home, whether it's fans at the Adelaide Oval, hopefully there'll be fans at the Sydney Cricket Ground for the New Year's Test when you have fans there. So that is who the players will fight for. And when you see that spectrum of support, there is always that willingness to bounce back. And let's just hope, the color of the ball will change, the conditions will change. It'll be back to regular red ball cricket. Let's just hope and pray that, India end the year on a high, and who knows, just completely turn the table in the boxing the test match. Why? What's not
Again,
to
last
hope?
word
This
to
is
you.
sports.
I think everybody said it. It is important how we move, leave this test match and move forward into the next matches. That's what is the reality. We cannot be thinking about this test match, having next three important test matches coming up. So it's important how we manage, and it will be the think tank and the management how they take care of the boys and what we do from here on. That will determine how we do in the next three test matches. It will not be easy, but right now the need of the hour is we need to forget this test match once it is done and move on to the other three with a very fresh and positive mind.
Very well said, Pragyan Oja. I'll close the show on this note that in sport, incredible things happen, incredible comebacks happen, incredible miracles happen, and that's why it's sport. This was an aberration. India is not as bad. So if anybody thinks India is going to be a rollover in Melbourne, no. This was one horrible session, which is a nightmare. Let's move past that. Let's get a decent session in now, get 3-4 wickets if we can, and look at Melbourne with a very different mindset. And you've got a week, Ravi Shastri. This is your job now. Virat Kohli not there as head coach of this Indian cricket team. This is why you're paid for. Go and do that job. Get this team back in sync. Ajinkya Rahane, huge opportunity for you. The support staff, the senior players, everyone need to rally together because you've got to make a match of this series. And yes, you can. We believe this Indian team and the management has the potential to come back, and we will keep supporting and praying that that's what happens. For this show, that's all we have for you. Sydney Test match remains on track despite all of the COVID issues. 13 cases today. I can give you that update. New South Wales has the best tracing. I spoke to a couple of Australian cricketers also. I am not naming them for confidential reasons, but I can tell you they've also been told as on date that the test match remains on. Still a bit of a fluid situation. We'll continuously keep you updated on Sports Today. And also tomorrow, after the match, we will review it. So we'll come back. But also tomorrow, we will review what's happening with Rohit Sharma. What is he doing in Sydney? He's, by the way, in Sydney at the moment. So we will review that. We will see what this Indian team needs to do, who will be the replacements. But for the moment, that's all we have. We'll come back after the test match for a final review with Pragyan and Rajeshi. Thanks for watching.